Anyone else that you don't do to yourself.
Well, yeah, you often say that. One finger points out and three fingers point back at you. So if you accuse someone, you accuse yourself. If you hit someone, you hit yourself. It all comes back causality. There will be some effects on your life by the actions that you're taking. And you could prove that right now the synchronicity is so high, it's literally happening day by day, minute by minute. If you're on the path of good, then good is seeking you just as you were seeking good, and good things happen. And if you're on the path of, getting revenge and all the rest of it, instead of forgiving your enemy, this is why...
It's all about a good conscience then, is it?
Well, you've got to also recognise the patterns in life, because the Ten Commandments were what they recognised at that time as being fathomable virtues that had been around for probably a lot longer than just when he went up the mountain and wrote them down. These are concepts he sat down and he thought about. His way of accessing God. How did God speak to him? God said, write these things down. But how does God speak to any of us? And he thought that was God speaking to him. He come down with these things and brought them to the people that was there. And before he even managed to show them what was going on, the very reason it seems that they was written and talked about, it was clear and obvious for everyone to see. Look at you. You're worshipping, and you can't even wait 5 minutes while I'm up there patiently, in a certain behaviour. You've gone to this behaviour which you clearly knew from even in Egypt was a wrong behaviour. How is worshipping gold actually going to help you? Whether that's a gold effigy or gold money that we spend. There's about 1 million metaphors with that. You could just talk about just that little bit. That's why it's written like that. That's why I believe it was written like that. And not only was it written like that, but men was around at one time living like that. So it's not lying. It's saying, just look at how delusional man used to be. Look at how we've grown. Look at how, even when the Christ came and he helped us in this time grow. Because those teachings are there with us.
It's still wet.
Yeah, it's still wet, but it could do with a bit more heat.
Very warmed up in my way.
Yeah.
So let's have a crumble.
Oh yeah, apple crumble. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Golden harvest, man, back in the day.
You can have it with the yogurt, but I'm not making custard.
Alright, that's fine.
Oops, excuse me. I get used to just expelling wind. I kind of think it's a privilege which comes with around 4 decades.
Probably. I haven't quite had that privilege yet. But yeah, I know a lot of people right now, they're trying to show desperately that they've grown up and therefore they want to take the training wheels off and they want to say the Bible is, I'm too old for the Bible, basically. I'm too mature, I'm too wizened and scholarly, and that's a load of bullshit because unless you've been through that as well, it's like saying, well, Aristotle exists, but I'm not going to read Aristotle, I'm just sticking with the Bible.
If you
Do you understand?
Personal responsibility and show personal responsibility in that you're not hurting anyone else,
Yeah.
and you're trying to be as much benefit to yourself and others as possible,
Yeah.
then have you shown a requirement for the Bible which may disrupt your program, or can you just allow that because you're not hurting anyone in doing that? But some people are saying Bible, 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 but the end result is that they're hurting themselves.
What do you think the Bible's like alcohol?
It's like
Some have described it like it's a dangerous drug, haven't they?
It's like a gun for the brain.
Oof, that's a bit extreme, isn't it? You really think so extremely? I mean, maybe it's just because I'm a normal person and I know how to take these information without,
I think
going loop-de-loop.
if you read the Bible like I read the Bible, which is basically that there's no more responsible person on earth than me, because I'm dealing with the Father direct.
Uh-huh. But
That's like what? It's Russian roulette, because it's changing my life now.
Yeah, you've got to allow people to grow up themselves.
So it's like I'm taking it that seriously. That there's a bullet in the gun to my brain, yeah? But that's
Yeah.
me, yeah? But if you put the Bible in the hands of any other person who hasn't been tested or improved, they can use that as a Bible against someone else's head. And that's a dangerous thing.
Yeah.
Because
But do you not allow for the fact that we're all free?
Either it'll disrupt that person's brain to the point that they become fucked up, like missionaries, where they go there and mind fuck people.
Well, yeah, it takes one to know one, doesn't it? They have to be...
Coming with the whole priestly, Pauline version of Christianity, which takes away.
Yeah, but you know why they work
and
like that?
Is and makes it into you've got to do what we say.
Yeah, they're
You've
on a
got
script.
to believe what we say.
They're on a script. Whenever they come out and knock door to door,
and your heart to us for safekeeping. And by the way, we're totally untrustworthy.
Yeah, that never happens to me. I mean, they come and knock my door, and it's like, yeah, you want to come in? And it's like, we'll have a little conversation, you know, something similar to what we're going on with. But because I've got my own, I've read it for myself, and I've got my own knowledge of it, it's not like they're going to come and pull the wool over my eyes. Yeah, they'll say, well, you know, we're very interested.
It's like
they're selling salvation. I says, you're not selling no such thing. But what you are is a witness to how humanity is. Now, right now, you're looking at things a certain way.
If you hold it by the handle, it shouldn't be too hot.
Yes, it's hot.
You hold it by the handle.
Oh, it's hot!
Like I said.
Well, exactly. If that's not written on a label, someone could touch that and it's very hot and very dangerous. There's no labels on the Bible that says you've got to read it in this way. You've got to take it in this type of mind. Precisely that reason why it was written that way, I believe. Because if you're no good with...
If you're not going to read it like Messiah himself reads it, then it's probably best to leave it alone. It's too powerful a tool.
Can be for the misinformed. Those that are looking for practical uses for it, practical answers. You'll find practical uses and practical answers. You know, even if that's just to hold a door open. As some would say, quite flippantly, I believe. There is wisdom in there. Okay, but it's all about you. It's all about what kind of person you are. Because just like anything, it magnifies and reflects that which you already are. So you're reading it and your mind is going to tell you based on your experiences, it means this.
So it's like the super serum.
Yeah. Yeah. It could turn you into the Red Skull or it can turn you into Captain America. Yeah, exactly like that.
But then that's a whole reversal of what I'm saying. Where the person who can take personal responsibility isn't the same as someone who's willing to follow orders.
But how do you know what kind of person you are until you've been tested?
Well, what choice do you have? You live in the world.
Yep.
Welcome to the testing ground.
Yep. So what is the Bible really? It's a test.
In theory, but then again, there's so many messages which leads to a deferred life. It's like, forget the life you're living right now and the things that you're going through and what you need to become right now and what you need to be seeking and what's actually good. In fact, when you transcend the notions of good and evil and you deal with God now, it's a different concept of unity and holistic thought.
I think in terms of looking outside of yourself and seeing yourself almost as others see you is a unique vantage point. I mean, when that Bible was written, they didn't have TV, they didn't have the things...
The notion of sin can be explained like the Latin sin. It's like a lack. It means without. Now, when you come to deal with God, what lack is this? So anytime you're dealing with a concept of lack, oh, I haven't got enough this or that, and you've got to worry about it, that's sin right there. It's a distance in between you and the reality that is God. So,
But you know, we're
if that-
still here
if-
talking about these same said
if
concepts.
if that is something which a person has to have a personal ownership of, that sort of concept, that you can't be thinking that there's lack. You've got to do like Messiah tends to do. You know, there's sufficiency, there's abundance of sufficiency. There is actually a God. That's different from church message, which is like, oh yeah, well you'll have abundance in after you're dead.
Yeah.
Horrible message, morbid.
Well, they are. They're the preachers that have been paid off to do a job. They've been bribed and bought off centuries ago, to the point that many of them are compartmentalised and cannot.
Too hot, so leave it to Stanford.
All right, that's fine. Many of the priests are compartmentalised just exactly the same way as people in government or any other walk of life.
So none of them know the full story, and yet
Exactly, the fullness is not even in the Bible.
Organisation has some sort of monopoly on that sort of theistic knowledge, which is actually a disruption of knowledge. It's a denial of knowledge.
Having the monopoly on something just makes them very rich, and being very rich gives them access to resources, and access to resources, well, we know the story of that. And it's everybody's struggle, isn't it, to have equal access to the resources.
It's not even about resources, it's about the hurt they do to people.
Well, I'm gonna flip it around for a minute, and I'm just gonna talk about us as if we're them.
And the
Right,
stunting of the spiritual growth.
Because in exactly the same way we have perceived them and say, oh, they're wrong, they're doing this, they're, causing all the problems. Guess what they're doing with us? The same. They're saying, these poor people, they're too ignorant, they don't know what they're doing. If we let them take all the resources, within a day, there'll be nothing left. They've proven that, many of them. What kind of society we give them? I said, you can have a free society, in quotations. This is the myth. Society can have a free society, and we'll just go with what you want to do. What do you want to do? Oh, you want more of them? Okay, we'll build more of them. What do we have an abundance of? Things that are, traditionally the Bible says, well, that's sinning, that gambling, drinking, womanizing, looking at those. Well, again, that's another debate. Let's just, look at the point of, well, anything the Bible said, it's like now we're doing the opposite. Do we have a better society because of that? Does everybody feel safer? Are we more sure or less sure of ourselves and our future and our destiny? There's that as well. It's like, for Neo to become one with Agent Smith and Agent Smith to become one with Neo, there's something we agree on. But the stage before that, there's conflict, isn't there? While they're figuring out what it is that they themselves want. For many people, they like to be in conflict. They like to try and figure out what they need. They're the first person to ever figure it out, and then they'll say, well, you know what you need? You need to listen to me, you do. There's a lot of religious people who are not necessarily even religious. They'll use the Freeman thing and say, unless you're doing it exactly like me, then there's no chance for you. Oh, the reason you failed is because you didn't cross this T and dot that I. It's got nothing to do with that. I mean, 99% of it is, well, are you a good person anyway? Because good people tend to stay good, and they tend to have reasons for doing things, and we're all human and we all make mistakes, and we're allowed to make mistakes. We're allowed. People will have sympathy if you say, well, it was a mistake, I didn't mean to do it. Honestly, honesty is the best policy. But if you've got no honesty, then what good is it being a free man and trying to use the law? You just try to make everyone look like a jackass who's actually trying to stay within the bounds of what is right and wrong.
According to their personal code.
Well, we say personal code, but laws were created, invented, yes, put down on paper, that are basically there to help us stay good with one another. Live and let live. But the commercial world's got involved, and that's why it's complicated, because now they're selling laws just like the same way they're selling faith, they're selling safety, they're selling the future to you. They're selling things that they can't possibly sell you. Imagine concepts no less religious or fictitious and invented than what people are saying the Bible's all about. Money, fictitious and invented. You know? What we say, numbers. You stop at 9, dear. Why? You stop at 0, dear. Why? You know? Why is there not a billion characters for each number? Why does the numbers have to repeat? Why are we so finite? Why have we stopped at 9?
Why make things as simple as possible?
Well, there's that as well. You need a soundbite. And the 10 Commandments is really the soundbite for the laws necessary to try and create some stable society, because everybody's different, right? And like you said, you can't trust anybody to read this, which is clearly written, and still do the same thing that you expect them to do. So therefore, you kind of take that first responsibility, and you take it personal, say, listen, I'm going to do it this way, and I'm also going to try and make sure that others recognise the same truth the way I've recognised it.
Because they've got to come through me to get it.
Now you see their position. Now you see why they're doing that. And it's not that you can't get through, it's just that you got to go to them on the level and say, never mind the tantrums. These ones are
some of my goods.
Well, no, you could do it like that if you want, or you could. There's many ways. There's many ways. You know, it's not always about, oh well, if I don't have that money, I can't possibly get that thing, and then I can't do the next thing. God will provide a way. Synchronicity will provide a way. Just focus on it and work towards that. So what we think is very important, and a way of thinking is very important. We need to train ourselves in a way of thinking that helps us get to the answers quicker, and part of that is getting rid of our own misconceptions. Now, accepting the Bible could be a misconception, but also rejecting it can also be a misconception.
Where I am today without an implicit understanding of the truths of the Bible. I don't expect other people to have understood those truths, though, which makes them peculiar and a bit dangerous to themselves.